Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of In Between the Stitches. As always, I'm your host, Brady Wilson, with my co-host, Chase Olschwinger.
What's up?
And what is up? Well, the Rangers are not up. The Rangers are down by a lot, 8-2, currently in the bottom of the fourth. So our triumphant return to Arizona to Chase Field has the name, hey, your field, Chase. Actually, have you thought about that before? They won the World Series on your field?
No,
on Chase Field?
I actually never thought of it like that. No.
That's kind of cool, isn't it?
I think it is pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. There's no Brady Field, but there is a Chase Field. That is pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. I never thought of it.
Although I feel like if there was going to be a Brady Field, to be the New England Patriots, say Brady Field at Gillette Stadium. Same how, Alabama just did it with Nick Saban. Yeah, Saban Field at Bryant-Denny Stadium. So I feel like you could see that. But, Rangers are getting killed. But we're not on the Rangers just yet. No Stars news to speak of just yet. Again, when we have some Stars, we just kind of announce it every week just in case you haven't listened. No Stars news. Until then, when we get Stars news, we'll have Zach Babb on the show probably to discuss preseason stuff. And that'll be a great time. For the Mavs, a tiny, tiny piece of news that could prove important in one of those, in the documentary about the 2024-2025 world champion Dallas Mavericks. So Markieff Morris was re-signed. And so he's a good veteran leader. I did see an audio clip from last year, somewhere middle of the season. He had one of those post-game old pro speeches that rallied the troops, and it was kind of one of those things kind of kickstarted some things. So.
Yeah, just one of those guys you want to have in your roster, and everybody knows he's not going to be seeing minutes until unless we're up by a lot, down by a lot, whatever it is. But it's just a good locker room guy, good guy that has the veteran presence and the veteran experience, and just can lead the young guys as well, and the old guys, everybody in between, in just the right direction. Yeah,
he's one of those emotional leaders on a team. So that's about it for the Mavs. For the Rangers, I don't have the record up here, but I'll have it right down here on my phone.
70,
we are
70
and 75, but probably might be 70 and 76.
Yes,
we are still the current reigning, defending World Series champions. So that doesn't matter. That's okay. It's okay. Again, like I just said, we are down 8-2 coming out of the fourth inning. Yeah, it's
not Cody Bradford's best start.
No, but there's a tiny sliver of hope, more of you never know, but probably not. But there is some exciting news. Kumar Rocker and Jacob deGrom, and it sounds like maybe Max Scherzer will all be making starts when the team goes to Seattle tomorrow. Rocker will make his Major League debut tomorrow. We'll get to that in a second. deGrom is making his season debut Friday. And then it has been announced it is Max Scherzer on Saturday. And then Sunday could be lighter, I think, if how the rotation's going, maybe.
Well, Eovaldi pitched yesterday.
They could go. I mean, I just want to see Leiter and Rocker go back-to-back just once, just to have the Vandy boys. But let's start with Scherzer. We'll see if he comes back. He says he wants to pitch. Clearly, he's been effective when he's on the mound, just hasn't been on the mound this year, which has been very unfortunate. Maybe he needs another off-season to get healthy. I don't know with Max. I'd love for him to come back. I don't. It's one of those, if he comes back, and if I get the notification, cool. If I get the notification that he's gone to Baltimore, cool. I'm not worried either way, right? With deGrom, similar, but we know he's coming back next year. See what he looks like. Let him get into a rhythm. This last kind of, partial month of a season, he'll probably get, I don't know how many, if we got he'll get about 3 starts, I think. That'll be good. I think he's already said he's not going to throw the curveball. I think he's probably going to be fastball slider, just making sure those look good in a game. Even if he gets shelled, the ERA's 10 in 3 starts. I don't care. It's Jacob deGrom. We just need him to pitch. And it kind of sucks because I think we were expecting him to be back a little bit earlier than this. But I have to wonder if they would have rushed him a little bit if we were needing pitching help.
Right.
So they've really taken their time.
Literally no rush. Yeah.
Really taken their time with him because I don't say you haven't needed him, but the pitching hasn't been the issue this season. So you haven't really needed him. In terms of, how do you not need Jacob deGrom? I know, but in terms of the pitching has not been the main issue.
Right.
If he could hit the way he pitches, we'd be fine. We would have rushed him. But I think see what it looks like. Get him the offseason. He'll have a, hopefully, knock on the desk here, he'll have a normal spring training. He'll be able to come into the season, be our opening day starter. I don't know where Evaldi is on the innings to trigger the option. I didn't see it, like on Twitter, so I assume, but I mean, if he's got 3 more starts, he should get to the innings total he needs for the next year's option, I think, to kick in. So we probably will have Evaldi back for next year.
That'd be nice.
Which would be nice. So if your rotation coming out of camp looks like, and Heaney's coming, I love Heaney, World Series champion, will always be celebrated in this town. But, I mean, I guess DFW is more of an area than a town. But you've got, potentially, if Evaldi comes back, you've already got your 5, I think. You've got deGrom, you've got Evaldi, and then you've got, I'm only putting the last 2 guys last because they're still young. You've got Bradford, and you've got Leiter, and you've got Rocker, and you've got Gray.
And Molly.
And Malley, or Molly, whatever it is. So there's 7 options for your rotation. We'll see how that looks coming out of camp, right? Rocker may go to AAA, and Leiter may go to AAA, right? Like, that's not a diss to them. That's just saying they may go to AAA, and then when somebody inevitably gets injured, boom, you have a starter.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, a second guy goes down. Boom, you have a starter. You can't expect Jacob deGrom to make 33 starts. That's just...
No.
I hate to say it. If he can make 20 to 25, you feel really good about... There's probably... You're winning at least half of those games, right? So there's 10 to 12 potential wins there. 25 is an odd number. So, there's 12 and a half wins right there.
There you go.
We'll win half the game. And then you got the interesting one, which is Kumar Rocker. Very unexpected.
Yeah.
Did not expect
I sent
this.
it to you on Instagram, and you're like, holy.
I think I said a bad word. Brady said a bad language word. Because I was very surprised
I was too.
that they wanted to see him in the majors. But I don't blame him. To me, what that tells me is that they don't expect to make the playoffs. And they're in that mode of, let's see what Rocker looks like against pitching. They probably told him, Kumar, sit down, son. We need to tell you something. All right. If you don't look good, do not worry about it. You are not meant to look great right now. You may get shelled. We don't care about that. We want you to see major league hitters. We want you to feel what it's like to be on a major league mound.
Mm-hmm.
We want you to understand the atmosphere. We want you to understand the pressure, the feeling of it, the rhythm. You don't have to be great. Even they say we're not expecting you to go out there and be Cy Young. We just need you to understand what the majors is like, so that when we inevitably need you next year, as I drop my pen, which is a show tradition that everybody knows, when we need you next year, I wouldn't tell him this, and I'll omit this next part, but you don't look like Leiter looked the first few starts here in the majors. We may really need you next year. We can't have you nervous. We can't have you maybe a little scared. We can't have you really feeling the pressure. We want you to understand what it's like, so that when we need you, you're ready.
Is this why you think they called him up for a game in Seattle? Because typically when you call up a guy for their first start, you want him... I guess Leiter wasn't either. He was in Detroit. But, typically you bring a guy up who has a lot of potential to your home atmosphere just to have the crowd behind you. Is this a reason why, bringing him up in Seattle for a team that's fighting for playoff contention with big crowds, a reason why they called him up?
It probably factors in. If we're going off my theory of we just want you to get a feel for what it's like, then yeah, you definitely would want to pitch him in an atmosphere like if you were in Houston, it'd be a great way for a young guy to learn what it's like to be in a hostile environment. Or Philly. Yeah, but Philly, as I kick the desk, if you heard that, I'm sorry. Philly is hostile, but not in the same way that a rival is for their rival team.
No, you're right.
Philly, okay, the Eagles fans are hostile to everybody. Phillies fans, now I could be this may show a complete lack of understanding of people's fan bases here from me.
Just the Braves.
But probably just our division rivals and probably in the playoffs. In a regular season game, no. I mean, I'm sure they're not exactly the nicest. I mean, sure, there's probably some really nice people in Philadelphia, but I'm saying that I think because of the nature of the sport, because baseball is a little bit more, I don't want to say, but a little more laid back. It's a little bit more, slower pace. that it's kind of hard to be super hostile unless you're in a playoff game, right? Where every pitch is you're on the edge of your seat or you're standing up. As we found out last year. You are absolutely
Yeah, it's going to be nice. Also, I mean, it sucks that we're not in the playoffs. We're not going to make the playoffs, but it's also going to be nice having literally zero stress watching, because as happy as I was last year, every single game was just so stressful, and it's going to be a stress-free postseason.
Last year was great. It is, if I were to pick the greatest memory of my life, there's two. One was when I was playing football. The other one was the World Series. I will never pick between the two. They are of the highest level of happiness I could feel. They're on the same level as like a future wedding day or my kid is born or something. I feel like, you know what I mean? Like I won't put one of them over each other, but they're on that same kind of level on the pyramid. Like it was that level of joy. And so that has been able to carry me through this year. As you've noticed, when every time I start the show or the Ranger segment, we're the reigning defending World Series champions. Everything that happens after, I don't care. We've won one. In 15 years, when we're losing 100 games again, I'll go rewatch the 2023 postseason highlights, and I'll feel great again. So but I think next year is when my expectations will go back up again.
Yeah.
Because expectations last year, there were some. Vastly exceeded them. This year, probably a lot more expectations, but also we won. I'm riding high off that. Oh no, we fell way below the expectations. Okay, now let's rebound and have another great team, because we still have a lot of good pieces, and I think that the team kind of maybe got changed a bit. You added Langford, Carter gets hurt, Young gets hurt. You know, a lot of guys got hurt this year. There was just
wasn't our year.
Couldn't get into a rhythm. It would be, you know, hey, the Rangers have won 7 of their last 8, then you lose 4 straight. Well, all of that momentum you just built just died. Whereas last year we were able to get into a bit more grooves and you know, hey, we've won 7 of 8, we lose maybe a game or 2, then we get right back to winning more games. This year was, well, win 5 straight, lose 3 straight, win 3 straight, lose 4 straight, it was just a constant, you know, hill.
Yeah.
So and I think that's been your problem. You couldn't get into a rhythm, and that's fine. This will be a great, hey, I'm going to enjoy the postseason, enjoy watching the best that football obviously, but also that the best that baseball has to offer is the postseason. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's going to be really interesting. There's a lot of good storylines going into this one because, and people may like to admit this, sports are at their best when the villain teams are good. Basketball is at its best when the Lakers and Celtics are both really good. Football is at its best when the Cowboys, I guess the Patriots, but I feel like the Cowboys. The Cowboys are when the Cowboys are really good, football benefits because there's expectations, right? There's just chance for letdown. There's eyeballs because everyone wants to see what happens with the Dallas Cowboys. Same with and then in baseball, Yankees and the Dodgers. Everybody, I don't care if you hate them, you love them. What did the great bowler Pete Weber once said? Hate me or love me, you watched. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
That's it. Hate the Yankees, love the Yankees, hate the Dodgers, love the Dodgers. You're going to watch. Because you're either going to be rooting for their downfall or rooting for their victory. So that's why I'm like, I hope the Yankees make the playoffs. Because baseball is better when they're in it. We can laugh for a year or two when they suck. But I want them to be good because then it just means there's more. It is a good thing for baseball. Especially if we get Yankees-Dodgers World Series. The history involved with those two franchises is anyone. I'm trying to think of ages. Well, I guess anyone that was there for the 40s and the 50s and even some of the 60s and then the 70s and then the 80s. I mean, they had a rivalry that spanned, obviously, when they were both in New York, when the Dodgers were in Brooklyn. And then because the Dodgers kept losing to them every single year except 55 when they finally got over the hump.
Yeah.
Then in the late 70s, early 80s, they faced off a couple more times. So the rivalry really built there. It hasn't had that chance for renewal. It was there, kind of went away a little bit, renewed. It's gone away for a little bit now. I think it's time for that rivalry to kind of renew itself. But we'll see. Other baseball news, Ohtani is inching ever so close to that 50-50. I hope he gets it.
Oh, yeah, it'd be great.
Great to see something. It's always fun to see something that is never happened, or like when Pujols got 700, I was watching. Like I think I subscribed to Apple TV that game just so I could watch because I'm like,
Yeah, because it was in LA?
It was in LA.
Yeah.
Heck, I think I was at a football game. I think it was a Friday night. I think I was at a Waxahachie Indians football game, and I was watching it. Because that's actually where I was when Josh Young hit his first career home run. I was like, oh, I want to see Young. Oh, look, it's a home run. But I'm like, I want to see Pujols hit this. I predicted he would. I told my dad, I said, I think he's going to find his groove with St. Louis, and he's going to hit. He's going to do it. And he hit, I think, 703 was his final total.
And he hit 2.
He hit 2.
He was at 698 going into the 700 game.
And then hit 2.
Yeah.
It was a great moment because you don't see that very often, clearly, right? I mean, how many 700 home run people are there? There's A-Rod. No, not A-Rod. He's 6. He's 600 something. Pujols, Ruth, Aaron, Bonds. There's 4.
Yeah.
He became the 4th, right? And if you hadn't seen it when Bonds did it, then you would have had to watch Aaron do it. Now, we didn't see that.
Nope.
And before Aaron, it was Ruth. And before Ruth, it was nobody. So there's beauty in history being made / records being broken. So it'd be great to see. Looking at the playoff races, everyone's still kind of in the thick of things. Baltimore's only a half game out from the Yankees. Kansas City's only 3.5 back of Cleveland. And then in the National League, I mean, San Diego's 4.5, Arizona's 5. But
and Dodgers have that, but
Cubs are 8.5 up. Or sorry, 8.5 back. Atlanta's 8 back. They're not catching them. So I think the races are there, but I think you look at the wild card.
Yeah, wild card's going to be tough.
Baltimore, Kansas City, Minnesota right now. Detroit's 3 back. Boston, I hope Boston's in there because Boston, New York's always fun. 4 back is Boston, 4 back is Seattle, 6 back is Tampa Bay, and we're 7. So, yay. With, I think, 17 to play, and we're losing another one. In the National League, you actually have a tie right now. San Diego and Arizona. San Diego's 2.5 up. Arizona's 2 up. Atlanta and the Mets are tied. Okay? Cubs are 4 back. I don't see the Cubs getting there this year. So I'm going to go ahead and say that. They've won 3 straight. I know they're kind of on a little bit of a tear here. I don't see it. I just don't. I think it's going to come down to Atlanta or the Mets. Who can outlast the other one? And this is a rivalry, too. They do not like each other. They are not a part of each other's fan clubs.
And the Mets are down 1-0 in the top of the 9th.
Well, I'm looking at who the Mets play. The Mets will... Oh, okay. Here we go. This is when baseball gets really fun.
Do they have Atlanta?
They're in Philadelphia next. Then they have Washington and Philadelphia at home.
Ooh.
For 4 in Philadelphia for Philly. Then they go to Atlanta for 3. And
so
then,
it really could come down to that final series.
And then Milwaukee for 3. So, and Milwaukee may not have much to play for except, well, let's just play spoiler. But hey, hold on, 8-3 coming back, yay! And then if we go look at Atlanta real quick, wish I'd had this up. Obviously, they're gonna be playing the Mets at home, but they got the Dodgers at home. Right now they're playing Washington. They play Washington tonight. They got the Dodgers at home, then 2 Cincinnati, 2 Miami, Mets at home. Royals come into town for the final series. And they could be fighting for something there. So definitely not the easiest of schedules for either team.
No.
And this is where it gets fun. Of course, the stupid, crappy armpit of Texas Astros are probably going to win the division. Makes me sick. And again, we talked about the rest of them. So we will check back in next week, obviously, to see what these races look
like. It
like.
looks like the White Sox are going to take another loss. The game isn't over yet, but Emmanuel Clase just came into the game. So it is over now since
it's over. Yeah,
Clase has just come in.
So they drop. So
it's not technically over, but
So they're going to drop. It's over.
Clase.
They're going to drop to 114 losses. Mm-hmm. I mean, theoretically, no, because it'd be 6 games. They'd have to. We will probably not have the record broken by next episode, but the next episode probably in 2 weeks.
Even if they lose out, yeah, because they'll have a game off.
I don't think there's gonna be enough games, so there's probably gonna be a day off. Anyway, now I think we've covered everything in baseball. My dad may be screaming that there's something you're forgetting, but unfortunately, I can't hear him. So we look at college football, and obviously the big one for this week, Hook 'em Horns.
Was never a question.
They kicked the ever-living crap out of the Michigan Wolverines.
In the
It
big
was
house.
worse than in the big house. It was a lot worse than I expected. That was a slaughter. Michigan kind of got exposed as well. Hard to. I guess it may be hard to win when you don't know what the other team's running.
Yeah.
Arkansas was outlasted by Oklahoma State. That was actually a really good game. Penn State was able to survive Bowling Green, which was kind of funny. Obviously, some cupcake games for everybody else. But the big one,
Mm-hmm.
I think, in terms of, not for us, is maybe, I don't want to call myself a Texas fan, but for a Texas podcast here, let me rephrase. A podcast rooted in the different area where there's probably a lot of Texas fans. The nationally big game was Northern Illinois
Yep.
beating the fraudulent Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Let's all take a second to laugh at Notre Dame.
Well, and they're done now, right? They're done.
They're actually still ranked 18th, and NIU's ranked 25, which is
great.
Which is
Great.
funny.
That's great.
But NIU's ranked. Hey, good for them. They haven't been ranked in 11 years. I didn't know they ever were ranked.
Good for them. And yeah, Notre Dame, their playoff chances are already over.
They're dead.
Yeah.
They're dead.
They're over.
Obviously, this week, Friday night, a big time ranked matchup: Arizona versus Kansas State. LSU faces South Carolina, and then on Saturday, LSU will face South Carolina. I always say the home team last, just so you know. Alabama will face Wisconsin. That's kind of a big game. UNT, which started out 2-0, faces the Texas Tech Red Raiders.
Yeah, even though we don't really talk much about UNC football, but we are.
Offenses look great.
Offenses look good. Defenses looked better than last year.
Passable.
Better than last year, but actually a
Barely.
notable game coming up in a big game. UNT goes to take on in Lubbock, Big 12
A
Texas
Big 12
Tech.
team, yeah.
And Texas Tech has looked sloppy.
Yeah, very.
Not to say that they won't beat us or can or will, whatever you want to say, because they are the better team.
We got a chance.
Give UNT a shot.
Well, in another ranked matchups, we got 24 ranked Boston College traveling to Mizzou.
Mm-hmm.
They're ranked 6th. They're such a good team. I'm sorry for the long pause. I'm not Tom Brady. I'm trying. We'll get to that one in a second. But I'm scrolling through the matchups here. Tulane faces Oklahoma, so I don't know who to root for in that game because I hate Oklahoma, but I don't really care for Tulane either. So
Also, with Tulane being in our conference,
yeah, but I can't. I will never root for Oklahoma. I was
won't
raised.
either.
I was raised in Texas.
Yeah.
So were you. So if you ever root for them, I swear you're a fake Longhorns fan.
no, I don't. I'm not rooting for
I'm
them.
messing with you. Notre Dame goes to Purdue. Miami plays Ball State. Oregon faces Oregon State. So there you go. Kind of a big rivalry matchup there. Two trash teams will face each other in Florida in Gainesville. We'll have Texas A&M versus Florida. see how that one plays out. I'm looking to see where NIU plays because they're kind of like a team I'm going to follow now. Ole Miss will play Wake Forest. Texas plays UTSA at home. They're really, other than that, there's some decent matchups this week.
It's only going to get better.
Georgia faces Kentucky. Nebraska finally is ranked. Good for them. I'm really happy. Nebraska's another team I'm really starting to follow. We'll get to Colorado here in a second because that's kind of been all anybody can talk about. But I don't see NIU, so I guess they have a bye week. Colorado. Last college football topic here. What can you say that hasn't been said already in the national discourse, especially by Paul Feinbaum, he's done a phenomenal job of encapsulating what they have been this year, which is, sorry for this week, fraudulent. Once again,
Not to say it wasn't expected.
it wasn't. It was a little more. It was more expected this year than last year, but still not terrific from the Colorado Buffaloes. There are problems on defense. There are problems on offense, and we'll get to those. But let's start with the schematic problems. And this has been pointed out by a lot more of the less. This has been about the people that I follow, which is not the hot take analysts, but more of the let's analyze the actual football being played on the field guys. They're running a lot of 10 personnel. They're running a lot of 4 receiver sets. Hard to run the football with no tight ends on the field. It makes it difficult. And if you can't run the ball, then teams are not going to load up the box.
Yeah.
And if you can't run on a weak box, then they're just going to play a lot of men in coverage. Who cares? You know? They feel a lot more comfortable going in dime.
Yeah.
And they run a very predictable offense. They have, and I disagree with a lot of the discourse about this, they have two really solid and I think NFL caliber receivers in Horn and Hunter. Obviously, Hunter could be a top 5 pick as a receiver, right? But, and then you've got, it's Jimmy Horn's son. Right? Is it Jimmy Horn Jr.? I don't think so.
No.
If you don't mind looking that up.
Yeah, I will. Wait, you mean Joe Horn?
Joe Horn. Why am I saying Jimmy Horn? I have no idea. Joe Horn's son. Maybe his name's Jimmy, and that's what I'm thinking of. I have no idea.
Look.
Anyway, he looks really good. He looks like a bona fide, I would say right now, 2nd or 3rd round pick, day 2 pick. Could be a solid number 2 or 3 receiver in the NFL. I mean, the man looks good. It's just they have no offense.
Yeah.
Shedeur has no time to throw the ball. But again, I say this, there's no threat
No, it is Jimmy Horn Jr.
It's Jimmy Horn Jr., okay.
Yeah. But I think Joe Horn
is his dad.
Yeah.
And they just call him Jimmy.
I don't unless it's not Joe Horn.
It's got to be.
But
hold on, we're
if it's not Joe Horn, the Saints receiver, if it's not him, then
that's what I'm thinking. We're sorry for the underpreparedness here. We're trying to figure this one out. No, Colorado just runs a really bad offense. I mean, they're a bad offense.
Yeah.
There's no other. You know what's funny? Oh my gosh, that's what we're missing. We're thinking of Joe Horn does have a son who plays football. J.C. Horn for the Panthers.
Duh.
Whereas I think this guy is just Jimmy. Is just his last name is just Horn. I'm seeing nothing on Wikipedia. I know Wikipedia. Oh no, but nothing about him says that he's related. Hold on, here it is. Nope, no, he is not related to Joe Horn.
Okay.
So we are wrong about this. But anyway, he's still a really good receiver, and Colorado runs a lot of those 4 receiver sets. It makes it difficult to run the ball. It makes it difficult to pass protect because you're relying on your offensive line. You're not bringing in a tight end to chip. You're not bringing in any of these things. They're a one-dimensional offense. When the defensive line knows they don't have to worry about being stout in the run game and they can just pin their ears back and chase the passer, it's a little bit easier.
Mm-hmm.
It's really easy. And so Shedeur, you can blame the offensive line, and this is coming from an offensive lineman. It's easy to blame those guys. When you can't run the football, it lets the pass rushers know I don't have to worry about being stout in the run game. I can just rush the passer. That makes it easier to rush the passer. And Shedeur is not the best decision maker. He panics. He gets, I understand he's getting the crap beat out of him, but he's taking hits I don't think he should take. My personal opinion. So I think him coming out, and look, if you're a quarterback and you want to think your offensive line is the problem, you can think it all you want. I don't mind if you think it. You never, and I mean, Chase, you never go to the press and say, well, how many times is Raiola getting touched? That showed me everything I need about Shedeur.
Yep.
He's got all the physical gifts. He is accurate. He actually, when he gets the throw off in pressure, when under pressure, he's got a good ball.
Yeah.
He can run. He is vastly immature from what I've seen. I don't know the guy personally, but everything I've seen from him tells me he is not mature enough to handle the NFL. Which is crazy because usually I like sons of NFL players because usually they have that ability to withstand the NFL a little bit better because they have somebody telling them how to do it and teaching them. Again, sorry for kicking the thing. I don't even know if it shows up on the audio. I'll have to check, but I don't understand who's telling him to say these things. Is it him? If he's the one saying those things, then what that tells me is Deion's not coaching him on how to talk to the NFL, on how to talk when he gets to the NFL. You say in the NFL, well, how many times is their quarterback getting touched? We can't run the ball. We can't do this, and you're blaming everybody else. You're going to get a lot of sideways looks in the locker room.
Yeah,
you're going to get a lot. I mean, in high school, we if if my quarterback was saying that, I'd want to fight him because I love my quarterback. But that's frustrating when your quarterback is, even if you're the one screwing up, the quarterback doesn't say it. You're the leader of the team. You are the field general. You cannot, it's always, I don't care if the receiver dropped the ball wide open in his hands. To the team, you say, that's my bad. Maybe go to the receiver and say, please catch that next time. But you take the blame in front of the team as the quarterback. Shedeur goes to the press and says, oh no, it was them, it was everybody else. I'm doing great. No. It's everybody else but me.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. Right now, I wouldn't draft Shedeur Sanders until the 4th or 5th round, if at all. I don't know if he's worth the draft. I mean, okay.
When do you start questioning Deion?
It's got to be already started. I mean, you were thinking. I mean, I feel bad for the Colorado, like athletic director, and their school board and their boosters. They paid a lot of money to lure him to Colorado. They paid a lot of money for him to lure these transfers into Colorado. And you were promised, maybe you weren't promised a national championship, but you were promised to be a contender.
Right.
You're the laughingstock of college. The only thing preventing you from being the true laughingstock of college football is Notre Dame is lost to NIU. If that hadn't happened, and I know that sounds kind of crazy, but if that hadn't happened, then right now, all the talk shows are, well, Notre Dame's a fraud, Michigan's a fraud, and Colorado is what we thought they were, frauds. But if those two things don't happen, all the attention's on you.
Mm-hmm.
So thankfully, they're kind of hidden away, and everyone's just kind of going, well, thankfully, I don't think people had the high expectations coming into the season, which is causing people to go, well, so we didn't expect much from them anyway, so we're seeing them for what they are.
Right, and if they bounce back this next week with a good game and promising game, then it's all washed,
Not really. I mean, Nebraska is a good team, but they're probably not going to be a playoff team this year. They're a good team. They'll probably finish ranked. I think they'll finish somewhere between 16 and 25, probably somewhere in there. That kind of back half of things. But and then they're gonna have a high profile bowl game. Matt Rule is building something. This is something that somebody, I think I'm using the word correctly. It's gonna sound like I'm not an English major. They juxtaposed Matt Rule and Deion Sanders. They both came in before last year, and they both had meh seasons. But Nebraska's was because I love Jeff Sims, can run, should probably get a job in the NFL as an option quarterback, or while some Wildcat looks like Taysom Hill. He could be the next Taysom Hill, but he's awful decision maker. They had a lot of turnovers.
Yeah.
They both came at the same time. Matt Rule's program is not only already ranked. I know Deion's was ranked last year, but it was taken away very quickly. Okay, Matt Rule has built a team that's ranked with a 5-star quarterback that looks the part. And I'm not saying because he looks like Patrick Mahomes, because he looks like a potential big-time quarterback prospect for the NFL. They've got playmakers on defense. They've got playmakers on offense to go with Dylan Raiola. They've got one of the best coaches in college football who's rebuilt Temple, who's rebuilt Baylor, and now he's rebuilding Nebraska. And I think with Nebraska, it's not going to be cut short like it was at Baylor with an NFL opportunity. I think he's here for the long haul.
I don't think he's an NFL coach, so I think he should notice that.
I think he did. Yeah. I love Matt Rule. I love him to death. Not just because he rebuilt Baylor, and I like the Texas schools, because I think he's a terrific, terrific college coach, building a program. And you look at the way they built their program. Rule has focused more on bits and pieces of the transfer. Rule is how I'd build my program in 2024. I'm going to use the transfer portal as like free agency to fix some holes on my roster, right? But I'm mostly going to build my team with high school prospects and develop them into our culture and our system. And it works. It looks like it's going to work beautifully for Matt Rule. In the next 2-3 seasons, you're going to really see Nebraska become a big-time powerhouse, I think. And Colorado is diving deeper and deeper into the depths, because when you look past Travis Hunter, who's probably the most talented football player in the world, I believe that in terms of what and that's including the NFL. I don't mean college player, I mean football player. because of the fact that he could be a top 5 pick as a receiver and a top 5 pick as a corner. You haven't seen that. Not even Dion did that. Sorry. Dion was an okay receiver. Charles Woodson got some offensive snaps. He wasn't a primarily offensive. Hunter's playing both ways every snap. That's just, I've never heard of that before.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's high school stuff, right? Not college football, Big 12 stuff. So, but yeah, to answer your question, you are questioning Deion Sanders. It's not a question of when, it's how much are you questioning him right now? And how much of a leash are you going to give him? Because he's had a year, brought in a lot of transfers. It didn't work because you got outclassed by a better team and just sunk deeper and deeper. This year, didn't expect much from you. You're about what we expected, I guess. I don't think you fire him just yet because you're tied up with him so much money. You may as well give him the opportunity to build something.
Yeah, but then Shador and Hunter are gone next year. And it's you look at the talent they have right now, which is like 3 players.
Yeah.
And then
Horn's probably gone.
Yeah, all 3 of them gone.
They've got Seaton, the left tackle, who I think has actually played pretty well. From what I've seen, I'm probably completely wrong there, but from what I've seen from him, he's played pretty well. But yeah, you are definitely questioning a lot of things in Boulder right now.
Yeah.
But then we move to the NFL, pro football. All right. We got week 1. We got some week 1 stuff. Chase did defeat me by all of them, all the disagreements, all 4 disagreements he took, all freaking 4. Thank you, Packers. Thank you. Why did I go with the Giants? Why'd you let me do that, Chase?
I don't know why you went for the Giants.
I don't know. And then you've got the Vikings. Oh, sorry. Then thank you, Colts, for losing. And then thank you, Jets, for crapping in the bed. So thank you, everybody, for making me like an idiot. Yeah, look at some of these games. Not going to go over every single game but Patriots, shocker. I mean, big time win. Richardson looks really good. Mm-hmm. He needs some refinement in terms for the Colts. What else? Niners look good. The Rams-Lions was the best game of the week. It felt like a football game.
Yeah.
2 teams with good coaching staffs and good rosters, shoring up the holes on their roster and hiding the weaknesses of their rosters and just playing a game. It was absolutely magnificent to watch. But then we got the game we'll always talk about. The game that puts a smile on our face. America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. How about them Cowboys, Chase? What was it, 33-17?
17. They got their 17 off of
touchdown.
Yeah.
I bet you a lot of people lost because Jerome Ford scored a touchdown at the end of the game. What do you say? Well, the Browns looked bad.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson looked awful. Mike Zimmer was in his bag. I mean, this defense looks so much fun. This defense looks so much fun, Chase. And you turn on the film, and I'm making it a point to watch more film this year so that I'm more informed to report on these things. Zimmer was throwing not even a lot at him. He was really just confusing him with a lot of stuff with the line of scrimmage and then rolling the coverages.
So, like, what he was doing, what I listened to and what I heard.
And what we actually watched.
We watched. We're going to continue to watch together, but film, that is. What I heard and what I listened to across just the media was what Zimmer would do defensively is have 5 guys on the line to where one of the offensive linemen is one-on-one with Micah Parsons.
Right.
And that's
it worked.
That's not something you want to. That's not something you want to have as an offensive lineman.
No.
And that he shows. Quinn didn't do that a lot.
No.
And this is a big adjustment because it makes everybody else look that much better.
No, what Dan Quinn
on
would
the defensive
do,
line.
What Dan Quinn would do, and I'm sorry if you hear this quick, I have to adjust the mic. What Dan Quinn would do is Dan Quinn would run a lot of nickel and dimes, even if the offense was not showing nickel and dime packages that you need to run them against. And it was, let's get more speed on the field, but we're going to sacrifice power. Zimmer is, let's let the offense do what they're going to do and then counter it. And he was doing that well. One thing he was doing a lot, and I don't have the ability to show everybody what I mean, so I'm going to have to kind of lay this out so everybody understands. Do a lot of what's called a double mug look. So you have the 4 linemen on, but you bring your 2 linebackers, or if you have, you bring 2 linebackers I guess 2 guys, but in our case, it was usually 2 linebackers, right up to the center. And they're both playing like a one technique almost. Not hand in the dirt, but they're both right above the center, right? They're making kind of like a U. And what that does is that makes the center, you have to account for them. You can't go,
even though they're bluffing, but
even though they could be bluffing. That's the thing.
Right, exactly.
Because you bring them a couple times. All right, we have a protection in place for those guys. Then they roll them back. Now you're screwed somewhere else because you've allocated resources. This is the offensive line. You have to allocate resources somewhere, and it's going to leave you weak somewhere. Usually not if they're going to bring up a blitz.
Yeah.
What you want is to figure out where they're going, who's coming and who's not, and then block them. If you're that sounds obvious, but if you're wrong, then you got to readjust, and that can be a problem. And we were doing a lot of that, a lot of disguises, a lot of they're called sim pressures, where you're getting. We didn't blitz a lot. We didn't. We ran a lot of just 4-man rushes.
Just looked like it though.
But it was something that it's been around for a while. It's been around for a long time, right? Like Buddy Ryan used to do this with the Bears. They'd have 8 guys in the box, but they weren't bringing 8, right? They'd bring 5. They'd bring 6. 2 guys go back.
Right.
So it's been around for a long time. It's not a new concept. Bill Belichick did this. It's one reason why he beat the Rams in the Super Bowl. The second time, not the first time, was he confused Jared Goff by bringing a bunch of guys to the line, making everybody account for him. One time, Goff brought a 7-man protection for 4 guys. They didn't know it was only going to be 4 guys, and they actually had a one-on-one matchup because the offensive line was loading up on one side. They were bringing tight ends. So that's what it creates. It creates a lot of mismatches for the offense, like you were saying. It creates a match where we account for the number of guys, but not who is where. If we're going to load up the left side, and we load up the left side to counter that, but Mike is on the right, and what that does is now he's got a one-on-one with the right tackle. Yeah. And that's not what you want.
No.
That's really not what you want.
And I also want to talk about, just for a quick little segment, DeMarvion Overshown. And I know when we drafted him, I mean, I had to have reached out to you.
You did.
I was telling you, because I'm a huge Texas fan. I watched him for years at Texas. And obviously, obviously, a lot of people were high on him, and everybody was, happy we drafted him, especially in the 3rd round.
Yeah.
But he's such a beast, and I'm so happy that he's, hopefully, knock on wood, he stays healthy, and dude, he's got a lot of potential. He is a ball hawk. You're not getting out of his grasp. I mean,
good tackler.
As long as, everyone's healthy, and we, for the Ravens game week 3, he's going to have the Lamar Jackson task.
It's going to be fun.
And just an absolute dog.
Yeah.
He and Kendricks have looked really, I mean, I know it's 1 week and it's not a huge sample size, but they look really good and just a lot better. Like one of the best linebacking cores, I think. I know we've had, the ups of Jalen Smith and the ups of LVE, but this one just seems a little different to me. It feels just like the best linebacker core we've had in the last 5 to 10 years.
Long time.
Yeah.
Zimmer was doing a great job. The offense, look, people are going to go, and we got to talk about this. Dak got his extension. We'll get to that in a second. Surprise, everyone's like, well, yeah, we're talking about Dak. Offense just played what they needed to do.
Yeah.
Defense was the story of the game. Offense's goal for me in that game was, all right, they got up early. Instead of trying to do some crazy stuff and stat pad, hey, let's take care of the football. Let's not throw it bunch of times and do a lot of the crazy stuff. Let's just run a very basic, watered-down offense. Try to get some field goals. Because once you get to the 40 with Aubrey, you're pretty much you feel almost automatic.
Dak had the same stat line last year when we won 40-0 in the opener versus the Giants. I mean,
I'm not worried about it.
Just because Dak only had 180 yards and 1 touchdown doesn't mean he played bad. He just played a good game manager, and you didn't need him to do anything. You didn't need Dak to go out and throw 300 yards and 4 touchdowns.
A game where you might need that, Baltimore. You may need that San Francisco, Detroit. Some of these games you've got in the next few weeks, I might add.
Yeah.
You are going to need Dak at some point. There are games where you need your quarterback to take over. This was not one of those games.
No.
Turpin scored. Once Turpin scored, you felt like, because offense didn't see the field and we'd scored a touchdown. Once we got to that point, it was 27-0, I think, at that point.
No, it was 27-3.
27-3.
Because they started off 3-0.
You feel like, okay, I don't have to do anything crazy. We don't have to throw down the field. We don't have to risk Dak throwing interceptions. Let's just play ball control offense.
Yeah, because I don't
Let's run the ball.
think we threw the ball deep once in the second half.
I don't remember.
I don't remember throwing it deep at all. I mean, the one pass or
Cooks
opener to CD where with the one-on-one with Denzel Ward, that he made a great catch and a great ball from Dak.
Cooks
touchdown
was a shot.
The designated play call, 25-yard touchdown. There wasn't a lot of balls in the air.
No, the Cowboys were able to do a lot of stuff without showing a lot of stuff, which was great. Defense played well, and now you move on to another week.
Yeah.
And this week, we're going to talk about this game first and then every other game because we are DFW sports oriented. Cowboys, Saints. It's going to be at home. That's great, right? Watching some of the Saints. Now, the Saints routed the Panthers, but the Panthers, I'm going to say this. That game was tough to watch, that film, because the Panthers, they have names. Let's see if you recognize these names, guys. J.C. Horn is one of their corners. Michael Jackson, not that Michael Jackson, different Michael Jackson, was for the Seahawks, good corner. Xavier Woods, ex-Cowboy great. Shaq Thompson is still a pretty good linebacker. Derek Brown was hurt, but he actually played in this game. And then they have Jadeveon Clowney on that team now. So you got names, but they did not play well.
No.
Thompson made a couple plays that were pretty nice, but there were just a lot of bad angles. There were a lot of, they weren't shedding. Sean Robinson had a nice shed on his blocker and was able to stop a play. But other than that, it was just a lot of wide open stuff for the running back. There was the Saints offense, and we'll get to that in a second, but the Panthers, a lot of their success was Panthers' ineptitude. I want to make a note of that. Offensive line, Taylor Moton tackled Bryce Young on one of the plays. I'm not kidding. He tackled him. I think that was a defender. Because he was like, uh-oh, because you could see like on his body language was like, oh, I just tackled my quarterback. They're just a bad team. They're the worst team in football, I believe. Offense no one was getting open. It was bad. Saints were running looked like they were running a lot of man. That was what I was seeing, but I could be wrong. They, defensively, I think is the strength of their team. Obviously, Demario Davis. You've got Cam Jordan. You've got
Lattimore.
Carl Granderson, Marshawn Lattimore, Tyrann Mathieu. You're going to be dealing with Chase Young is on that team now, and he had some really nice reps against Ike Mekwonu. You know, they have a really good defense. Defensive head coach, Dennis Allen. They're going to be tough. You know, they got Paulson Adebo's a good corner. I also was a huge fan of him coming out of Stanford. I do believe he was Stanford. I was getting him to Jalen Watson, who was Washington State. But they have a really good defense, and a lot of guys you have to worry about. They run kind of a four-man, for kind of run what Cleveland was running.
Yeah.
4 linemen. I think they're a bit weak up the middle. Chuba Hubbard was getting a little more success when they were running between the tackles. I don't know the numbers on it, but that's just from what I was seeing. Running outside was causing problems because Matthew was coming down run support. Davis was making plays. Young and Jordan and Granderson were making plays and setting the edge. So I think that for our offense, attacking them up the middle on their defensive line would be what I'd do. You don't want to deal with their defensive ends. Let's deal with their defensive tackles. Brzee was a first-round pick, but he hasn't really played well in his career. They don't have much up the middle, I think, and that's how we run. We run up the middle a lot, so I think doing a lot of that will work.
Well, yeah, we don't really have that. I mean, Dowdle's, he's not the fastest guy, but like
we're more of a power run team.
But I'm also interested to see how what Dalvin Cook's role is this upcoming game.
Well, is he going to play?
Well, he's in the locker.
Is he going to be elevated?
He's in the locker room. I don't know.
He's not elevated.
I don't know if that means anything.
He's still practice squad, I think.
So I don't know then, but I'm interested to see. This is a good Saints team. Yeah. It's a good Saints team. It's what we just said was not discrediting the Saints at all. No, just because they played the Panthers, they put up 47 points. They held them to 10. They looked good. Which
is going to get to offensively. They look interesting. They're a weird offense. So Clint Kubiak's their offensive coordinator, obviously the son of Gary Kubiak. They run a lot of, I don't know what you classify it as, because they run a lot of 2 receivers with Olave and Shaheed. That's about all I got. And then they've got, who's their tight end?
Juwan Johnson.
No, besides Juwan Johnson. They run somebody else too.
Oh, Foster
Moreau, thank you. They run sets with both of those guys. Mm-hmm. And then they've got Alvin Kamara. They've got Derek Carr. They've got 3 good offensive linemen in Eric McCoy at center, Cesar Ruiz at right guard, and then Fuaga played pretty well at left tackle.
And Ramczak's out, right?
Yeah, but their right tackle, which is Penning now, powerful, but he's caught out of position a lot. I think if Micah plays slippery, I think if you want to bring some overshown blitzes, go on that right side. I think his athleticism is going to give Penning a lot of fits. And then Patrick, their left guard, had some decent run blocks, but in pass pro, he's not strong. He got bullied multiple times by Alshon Robinson and Derek Brown. So I really feel like if you're going to get some pressure, running, I think you could see Jordan Davis and maybe Monty Smith generate some pressure if they go on that left guard. But the wild card is Taysom Hill. He is the thing that makes that offense hard to defend. I mean, Olave and Shaheed are really good receivers. They're a really good 1 and 2.
Also, obviously got to worry about Kamara in the backfield.
Kamara's always dangerous. Derek Carr has still got talent. He is still a good quarterback. When he's not being, even in face of pressure, he was making some throws. But especially when he's clean, able to get everything into the throw, he's still a good quarterback. You still have to worry about him.
Yeah.
You're going to want to get him pressured, though. I think getting somebody on Taysom Hill, I think that's going to be Overshown's task. Hey, you get on Taysom Hill. Make sure he doesn't, because he actually lined up at quarterback. He lined up as a tight end. He lined up as a fullback, H-back. He lined up everywhere. He lined up as a running back.
Yeah.
He is going to be something you have to game plan for. We've done it before, and we beat Taysom Hill before.
Right.
So I feel confident in the ability to beat him. It's just something you have to worry about the Saints offense. And then when you're worried about the run, because they are running a lot, then it's when they throw the shot to Shaheed. So I think if I was to run I'd run a lot of zone, cut off
Carson's going to be his task.
Cut off their passing lanes and force them to run and then play against them. But I think this is going to be your first good test against a good running football team because Kamara, I think a good run blocking offensive line. I think that's where Penning's probably at his strongest, his run blocking, not pass blocking. So I think for the Cowboys, it's a good test. Last week was a good test of your coverage. I think this week's going to be a test of your ability to stop the run. So there's your keys to the game. I'm picking Cowboys for this game. Chase?
We're going to start it off now?
Yes.
Give me Dallas.
All right. Moving on to other games. We got the Bills at Dolphins tomorrow night. And I wanted to I've already done all my predictions, so I'm just going to list them out. Chase, you're going to go first.
Yes. Man, this puts me in a tough spot. Mostert is out, I believe. Achane is...
Could be out.
Question. I thought Mostert was ruled out. Or was he just...
No, I think Mostert... I don't know if he's right here. You think. Okay. I will look it up.
And Achane's a game time decision. Oh, man.
What are you thinking?
I'm taking the Bills.
You're thinking Bills?
I'm taking the Bills.
Yeah, he has been ruled out for week 2.
Yeah. And Achane's a game time decision.
And then Jeff Wilson, and then obviously my guy Jalen Wright could be potential there.
I'm going Bills.
You're going Bills? Well, so am I.
Okay.
Mostly because I think they have owned Tua. I think they're 5-1 against him. McDermott is, so they clearly are able to take away their ability to pass the ball. So I'm going Bills. Niners at Vikings. Hey, Darnold played really well. By the way, this is kind of where we recap everybody's games. Darnold played well, but I'm going. I mean,
there's not going to be, unless if everybody stays healthy, there's not going to be 1 week I don't go against the Niners. Even though I know we played them and I took us last year, but even though I'm jumping a few weeks ahead, but until we show that we can be somewhat competent versus them, I'm not taking us. So, but give me the Niners.
Same thing here. Raiders, Ravens feels pretty self-explanatory. I assume you're going Ravens.
I'm going Ravens.
I didn't explain that much there. Chargers, Panthers, same thing. Don't need to explain much.
I think the Panthers got a better shot at this. So it's a weaker secondary, but I'm taking the Chargers.
Buccaneers at Lions. Again, Bucks played pretty well.
Rematch of the divisional game as well.
Really hard to bet against the Lions. So what are you going with?
In Detroit?
Chase? Yes.
Give me Detroit.
All right. So I'm going Detroit too. Colts at Packers. Malik Willis versus a very weak Colts secondary, but I already know who I'm going with. You?
Colts.
I'm going with Colts. I'm believing Anthony Richardson. Browns at Jaguars. Can the Browns rebound? Jags did almost have Miami. Jags deserved to win that game, but they gave it away.
I'm going to take Jacksonville.
So am I. Kind of boring here. Seahawks at Patriots. Patriots look good. Cincinnati always looks bad in the first few weeks, though. It's just kind of been their thing. Take them a second to get going. So, and then Seattle, their defense was absolutely phenomenal in that game.
I'm going to take Seattle, but I'm not going to be surprised if New England pulls this one out.
I'm going Seattle, too. Jets at Titans. Will Levis looked not great. Neither did Caleb Williams. We'll get to him in a second.
Jets.
But I'm going Jets. Giants at Commanders. Hey, this is a Bad game.
Washington.
I'm going Giants.
Okay.
I just think that running Daniel Jones is going to give Dan Quinn fits. Their defense looked bad. And I think that they're better equipped to handle the run during the pass, and Washington's a running team.
There you go. Well, our first disagreement.
Well, there we go. We have a disagreement. Yay, I can gain a game this week. Rams at Cardinals. Cardinals gave the game away. Rams are really injured, so it's a toss-up. Sorry for the pause.
I'm taking Arizona.
I'm taking the Rams.
Okay.
I'm believing in McVay more than John.
Yeah, sorry for the hesitation. I'm just trying to think because
you're good.
I know I'm just trying to think about who's out and who's in on each team.
Bengals at Chiefs. Hey, two I think heavyweights, but Cincinnati always looks bad to start the year, so I'm gonna go and say I'm saying Chiefs.
I'm going Chiefs as well.
Steelers at Broncos. Bo Nix looked rough, really rough. Steelers looked rough on offense. 6 field goals.
That defense,
but that defense looked absolutely phenomenal.
Which is why I'm going to take Pittsburgh.
So I'm taking the defense to absolutely give Bo Nix fits. Bears at Texans. Williams looked bad. That offense looked bad. The defense, thankfully, and special teams saved them in that game.
Texans.
So I'm going Texans too. And then Falcons Eagles. Another kind of toss up. Monday Night Football. Big time matchup. Falcons.
I still have high hopes in the Falcons. I know they look bad, but they still have a ton of talent on both sides of the ball. A top 5 defense, maybe. Because, again, that defense didn't allow Pittsburgh to do anything.
Top 10 defense.
Top 10, top 5 range. But, again, they didn't allow Pittsburgh to do anything. The offense had no support. They got no support from the offense.
True, but the Steelers' offense is pretty bad. Arthur Smith is their offense coordinator. So.
Right. Anyway, still, though. But at the end of the day, give me Philly.
You're going Philly. I'm going Atlanta. So we have some disagreements there towards the end. I just think that Atlanta matches up well against Philly.
Okay.
But there's a week 2 matchups, 3 disagreements.
And we both got the Cowboys and Cowboys Saints.
And we'll see what happens with the Cowboys Saints. Obviously, we'll see if I think to wrap it up, keys to the game are going to be getting somebody on Taysom Hill, making sure he doesn't take over the game, making sure that you're stout against the run and that Kamara doesn't take over the game. Yeah. And then I think on defense, it's going to come down to how well can you run the football. Mm-hmm. I think you're going to be able to pass it. I think that I think passing is going to be a bit difficult because their secondary is really good. I think it's going to come down to how well can you run the football. Yeah. So
especially if there's no Ferguson, which it doesn't seem to be.
No, probably not. You should still win this game, but they are a good team.
No, they're a good team.
So
it's going to be tough.
We will see what happens, and we will see you guys next week.
See ya.